It's about 6:27. I mean, we could walk through that door and stand outside again in the proposed area, but I think you have the idea of what life would be like and what the addition would add to this building and the opportunities that would also exist from it.
So
Yes.
the proposed addition, just 8 classrooms, straight wing,
Straight up.
straight out 4 inside?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, one thing I did forget to mention as we were standing outside is there's a proposal for the locker rooms for the gymnasium, a separate set of locker rooms for 7th and 8th grade. Well, those are off the corner of the gym, and that's exactly where I would expect them to go to the bathroom if they're in the gymnasium, because it will be separate. They will not be out in the hallway needing to use these facilities. They would use the locker room facilities for bathroom.
One
Yes.
more quick one.
Oh, absolutely.
Talking about locker room stuff, athletically, as far as basketball, I know it's a fight for gym space already.
And it will be.
I know. What, I mean, is it proposed, or the 7th and 8th grade, just the
So-
idea for them to practice
That's a perfect
here or go?
That's a perfect question
But it's
for a
tough
middle
for
school
parents.
athletic director.
You know,
Ideally, if we have the space and they can practice here, that'd be great. But you know as well I do with the gym space and the teams going, that may not always be the case. But we are fortunate in the sense some of our athletic teams from middle school are transported here to use different facilities too. If it came to be the same, the way I look at it right now, on honesty, they probably have to be transported, which they already now are. The buses leave here and go right to the middle school. Actually, they probably get an earlier start time doing it that way than they would if they stay at the middle school, to be honest with you. But more than likely, they probably end up more than likely back at the middle school. But obviously, if the space was available here, we would.
Well, I know how space is in the
Yeah.
wintertime. It's
Yeah.
I know.
almost non-existent,
Yeah.
so.
Oh.
And I just want to make one quick statement if I
Yeah.
could. I went to a junior, senior high, and I understand trying to keep the kids separate, but for people that went to bigger schools, it is not the end of the world for a 7th and 8th grader to go to school with high schoolers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're talking 7th and 8th. When I went to school, we had kindergarten through 12th in the
Well, I
league.
know
So,
different time now.
and we all rode the same bus too.
Well, I'm a parent of a 6th and an 8th grader. And if you ask me, would I rather have my 5th and 6th grader associate with 7th and 8th graders, or my 7th and 8th grader associate with high schoolers, I would much rather divide my 6th from my 7th and 8th grader. And that's not a bad rap on our 7th and 8th grade kids, but just the maturity level and the things that they're talking about now and the things that they're discussing and the association that my 6th grade daughter has with the 7th and 8th graders scares me more than if.
Oh, yeah.
So
But, you know, I just
that's just my, yeah.
No, I
personally,
appreciate
it was
that.
no big deal for us. I mean, the older kids didn't pay any attention to us when we were younger. When we were older, we didn't pay any attention to them. So,
Well, in one aspect that Mr. Riggs unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, he's with the senior class on their senior trip. Otherwise, I know he would bring this part up. What it could offer is a possible mentorship opportunity from the 8th grade transitioning into a high school life where seniors would be on campus and they could walk down during a seminar and have sort of a question and answer session and say, all right, you guys are going to be going into high school here in a couple of weeks, you know, and there can be opportunities for mentorships, you know, with teachers present and everything along that line. Currently, you know, we'd have to bus those students back and forth or ask them to transport themselves to the middle school.
In reaction to your basketball space or gym space, we originally had that on the wing, but that was one of the things we decided wasn't a necessity.
right, yeah.
Like the track, again, you know, out here you're having just a track. We were assured by builders that we were able, if in the future you wanted to do a football stadium, you could, but we can't afford to do a football stadium, so what do? We try to do what the insurance tells us we have to do on the old field,
Right.
but you can't put the track out there. You need an 8-lane track, and there's too much to move and so forth here. So, you know, that's odd, but we
Right.
cut the stadium too. So
I know.
you're gonna
You know I
see
want
some
that
things and
stadium.
ask some questions why we're not doing this, and I tell you, we went through this like 7 or 8 times.
Well, I didn't expect like a whole nother gym area. I was just.
Well, no, I'm
Well,
just saying, this
you
is one of the things
yeah.
we thought of.
We did think of
Yeah,
that.
it was.
Did,
That's a.
you know, take that out
Finest
because
guy.
it was an extra.
We looked at the total price and how can we deliver the academics for this district long-term to support growth to support the change in education. And we still have 3 buildings that have great gymnasiums, the primary, middle school, and high school. We were looking to add more into the academics to
Right.
make, and that's where we were putting the
My
capital
question,
down.
you know, it was just, I know you make it work with the gyms, I was just
Yeah.
wondering about transporting or
Yep.
how they're gonna get here to, okay.
Well, and that's one thing, like springtime right now, I have middle schoolers being transported to the primary for track and field.
Tennis is being transported.
Yep, tennis. If that's on campus here, the track's out back, the tennis courts are already out back, those kids are already going out. And that's a great opportunity for our middle school kids to also integrate with the high school varsity coaches. For example, track and field, our pole vaulting coach is the varsity track coach, Mr. Hocker in the middle school. So the kids, all right, they have to wait until they get out there. But
And I think it's also nice too that our 7th, 8th graders would have access to a weight room, which would really open up some of the things we can do in the physical education department with Mr. Hocker and the classes and the things that he teaches.
any other additional thoughts as we're looking at the facility? Otherwise, it's about 6:33.
When do you put, what are the timelines, like when do you propose to do all this and how long do you expect it to take all this to do?
Bob, would that be a perfect question for?
I forget exactly what we put into the bond application for the Department of Treasury, but if it passed in May, we'd start design right away. We'd probably bid it around January or February and start the addition in the spring of 2013. And then it'd be available for summer of 2014.
Yeah, the latest.
So it will take some time to build, time to grow, and in that time, there's going to still be the same number of classes required that we'll talk about that more in the middle school, that I will have to have, and there will still be space available and classes available here that my 7th, 8th graders will look to try to give them the best experience.
And I think it's important too, as a 7th, 8th grade parent, to understand with the state requirements that are now coming down, they've just added now, you have to have 2 years foreign language. Really puts a lot of pressure in 4 years to get all your, your state credits for your graduation, and it leaves you very little room for electives and things that you want to do. Coming in at 7th and 8th grade, hopefully at some point in time, being prepared as an 8th grader, you could take one of those classes and get one of those, which kind of puts you a leg up, so maybe you can do some of the electives and different things. And really, it takes a lot of pressure off, kind of looking at, well, I have 5 years to get those credits as opposed to 4. And I'm sure that the state's not done with the pressures that they're going to put on these kids to get everything in 4 years. It'd be really nice to have them here and have that additional year if we could, to get our curriculum in line, to get them into some 8th graders if they're ready, to take some of those core classes and get those done.
Are there 8 classrooms in that proposed addition?
Yes.
The 2 long ones, I'm assuming are designs.
Those are 2 sets.
Design flat, and there will be no offices on that end. The main office will be.
Main office is there. There are 2 utility rooms built into that design, and those spaces have not been allocated yet as to what. I know one, we were discussing about a resource room for at-risk parapro. I have 1 at-risk parapro working with the 7th and 8th grade. That would be a great room for them to do a pull-out. But currently, yes, the only office space is down here. And just give you an example on that. In the middle of the day, if a child needs to be sent out of any wing in the middle school, a teacher will call down to the office, and we are looking and waiting for them to come. So that's the type of situation I would see here as well.
And as we move through, and with those needs as they come up, we still have space down this wing where we can put probably 2 close to full-size classrooms in the back of where our old drafting room used to be. So if those needs come up,
Along that.
yes, they're down down here on your right. Yeah, same hallway, same separation.
Right next to the band room.
Yes.
I have another question about the number of students. You said you have 8 classrooms being built for I take it, the number of students that we have right now enrolled in those classrooms. What happens if you get more students?
That's kind of why I brought up those rooms for expansion, because I know everybody says, well, here we go, what happens if we have to turn around and do something again? well, we're in a situation with the space that we have, if we do have to do something, that we can basically handle that with classroom space with what's down there now. It'll take some reconfiguration, but we do have the space to do it.
And based upon the trends, you know, through the past number of years, we've had anywhere from 80 to 110 students. And if you imagine 30 students per classroom, which is the recommended maximum for 7th and 8th, 4 core classes for a, let's say 7th grade, that's 120 kids that could be within 4 classrooms.
I believe the state also says that you can only have so many according to what your count is now. You
Correct.
cannot say, oh, I'm gonna have 20 more kids next year. So I believe that is
There are
am I correct on
requirements.
that?
There's limitations to how much you
That
can.
how many kids you got, and how many rooms you need, and
It's based on a 5-year projection.
And right now, based upon what's already from kindergarten through, we do not have a class size larger than 110. So there's room for it. But like Mr. Cole said, if it grows, there's still
Yeah.
additional space that
I don't
modify.
don't have the schematics to how many classrooms you can put in there. I don't know if you guys can answer that, but there's
We
plenty of
discussed
room.
that you could put 3.
Rooms.
Yeah, I think there's probably three additional classrooms.
We also designed the addition so you could.
Well, I'm just,
add on
as
to
an ex-teacher, it'd be nice if we had smaller classroom sizes and more classrooms available. So that would be an incentive for me to have proposals, so my child would have a smaller classroom rather than a class of 30 kids.
And right now,
I know this.
yeah, right now, based upon what's in 7th and 8th, you know, we've had no more than 30 in those classrooms. Even in the current middle school right now, we've had no more than 4 quarters, 4 hours off. That is. Any other questions? All right, I think